Okay, so this is me drawing a foil, right? So the first thing you need to do is you need to mark a point, right? And then let's say we're gonna do a chord of 20 centimeters, right? So you mark 20 centimeters. Okay, so that's gonna be your mid chord line. Okay, so then you can draw a foil, right? And let's say I want it to be kind of this shape. Okay. Alright, so it's not the best foil. Maybe I can erase this a little bit. Let's draw a straighter line here. So I'm just gonna rub this one out. Okay, so again, we got our 20 centimeter, and this is gonna be 0.0. This is gonna be 20.0. Okay, so now, you wanna do as many points as you want. I mean, as many points as possible. So I've gone ahead and done, this is a similar foil, it's a different shape, but right, what I've done is I've just selected random points here, right? And what I did was using a square ruler, so I prolonged those lines downwards so that then I can measure them, right? So if you remember on one of the tutorials, they showed you how to draw from the coordinates from that data file, right? That had a set of coordinates. You could draw the outline just like the program does, right? So in this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure the other way around. So this point that I placed is 0.9 away on the x-axis, and then it's 1.1 on the y-axis, right? So you're gonna go ahead and mark all of these points, and then mark all of these points. Notice that, right? This is negative y, and that's positive y. Okay, so this will have a negative 0.1, negative 0.1, whatever, all the way down, right? And okay, so you collect these points. Okay, so now we're gonna create a new spreadsheet, right? Because we're gonna take all the points that we had, that we mapped earlier, right? And notice that if you look at a data file, okay, so if we look at one of those data files that we had before, this one for instance, NACA, right? We can see that the midpoint here, this is the mid chord line, right, is 0.0 in the x-axis and 0.0 in the y-axis. Okay, and then all of these positive values here are the top of the foil, right, the top of the wing, right, and they end at 1.0 and 0.0. So it goes all the way from 0 to 1 in the x-axis. But we saw that on our foil, our drawn foil, it was 20 centimeters, right? It was 20 centimeters. So we will have to do some conversion there. We'll have to divide by 2 so that we can get it from 0 to 10 and then do a division, right? So anyways, you can see that then on the bottom below the 0.0, right, x and y, the x values are still positive. These are those here, right? They're still positive, but the y values are negative, right? Because we're going down on the y-axis, okay, from 0. So they'll be negative, right? So we need to now do them here, right? So we'll add them. So we had 0.0, but I'm not going to put that one. So in the X, we said it was 0.9, and then 2.05, and so forth, 3.1, right? And I keep going, and I already done this for us. Okay, so you can see that that's here, okay? But notice that they're sorted, right? They're sorted in reverse order because we go from 0.0 all the way up to 20. So we had this 20.0 and then 0.0, right? So that's what we had before, but I erased those, okay? So what you do, right? So let me just go back, all the way back to the beginning of my spreadsheet, right? So that you see what I did, okay? Right, so you can see that I went 0.9, 2.05, 3.1, and so forth, right? Adding them all up there. And then, hello. And then, you know, what I did was I selected data and I sorted by Z to A, right? So I just shifted them around. Okay, so again, there, right? So that's now they're correctly sorted from 0, 0.9, 2.05, etc., all the way up, right? So then another thing that you have to do is you'll have to so what I did here was, wait, let me start all over. Okay, so what you do is you're gonna say, okay, let's say we're gonna equal, right? We're gonna take this cell and we're gonna divide it by 2, right? That'll give us, you know, closer to 10, right? Which is what we want, but we don't want 10. We want it to be from 0, right, all the way to 1, right? So we're gonna do divide by this, divide by 10. Okay, so now we're close to 1. Right, so we're going to do this for that one there. Whoops. We're going to go to the right, and then we're going to go all the way down. Okay, so now we've got values that are from 0, 0.0, all the way to close to 1. Okay, so now if I add a row here, now I can say, okay, it's 1.0 and this is 0.0, right? And I want decimal places, so I want at least 5 decimal places like this. Okay, actually we don't need so many. Well, it doesn't matter. And then here, let's just copy this, paste it there, 0.00000. Okay, so that's that. Now we have to do the same for the other side. Okay, and so now those values, I don't have them, but I should have them here somewhere. No, I erased them. Okay, it doesn't matter. You know, so I'll put them in again. So these here, these, you can see that they never change because I took the same values for X. Right, so I can do the same. I can just copy these, right? But in your case, maybe you took different points, or you took more points on the bottom side of the foil, right? So again, these are in reverse order. Now I have to sort them. So I'm going to do sort range, column A to Z. So now they're going from 0.0, you know, all the way up to 20. Okay, and then on the other side, 0.7, 1.4, 1.6, 1.7, 1.9, 2, 2.05, 2, 1.95, 1.9, 1.8, 1.8, 1.5, 1.4, 1.2, 1.7, 0.3, I believe that was 0.35, 2, and then finally thingamabob. Okay, so these are sorted the right way. So now we're going to do the same that we did before. So I'm just going to copy these 2 cells. Actually, let's do it again. So equals this, divide by 2, divide by 10. Okay, and then I'm going to move, replicate that there, and then replicate the formulas going down. Yay! Okay, so now this is 1.0, and this is 0.0. Okay, let's give some more decimal places there. There, one more. Ha, done. So this is our data file. I can now go ahead and select these, right? I'm gonna copy, I'm gonna open run text edit, I'm gonna create a new file, right? I'm gonna make it plain text, and then I'm gonna paste this. Okay, now there's only one thing missing, right? So this is my drawn foil Mr. Hugo. And then so let's go to 0.0. Where is 0.0 here? Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? There, 0.0. So remember that these here are supposed to be negative. So I'm just gonna add a negative. Actually, I could have done this in the spreadsheet, right? But it doesn't really matter, okay? So I'm gonna save this. Save as drawn foil Mr. Hugo. I'm gonna save it. Right, then I'm gonna go to my Finder. Notice that I need to rename this to .dat. He's gonna say, hey, do you wanna keep txt? No, I wanna use that, and this and that. And then, right, so you know how to do this. If you go to airfoil, right, you got your parameters here. So remember that my chord was 200 millimeters. Okay, so I'm gonna show the origin. I'm gonna click there. I'm gonna get my, and kind of looks, you know, a little bit like my foil. Obviously, you know, I didn't choose enough points, so therefore there's a lot of variance here, right? So you might want to use more points, or you might want to smoothen these out a little bit, okay, so that they look more like what I had drawn initially. Okay, the more points you get, the more points you plot, right? The more sampling you have, the closer to your original design will be. Okay, I hope that helps.